I'm Alexis Lopez, and this is Pop Culture Oppression Obsession, where we look at pop culture through a critical theory, equity, and representation lens. We here agree with scholar, Chicana queer feminist theory author, professor, activist, and intense word bruja, Gloria Anzaldúa, who wrote, "Like all people, we perceive the version of reality that our culture communicates. Like others, having or living in more than one culture, we get multiple, often opposing messages. The coming together of two self-consistent but habitually incomparable frames of reference causes un choque, a cultural collision. We at PopCOO understand that experiencing these choques impacts our shared ability to see ourselves as worthwhile and beautiful. We would like to think of pop culture oppression obsession as a kind of ongoing validation of our experience as people of color living here in the colonialist United States. In this episode, we're doing another quick and dirty POC representation trailer review. This time, we're taking a closer look at the trailer for the movie Spiderman Far From Home, which looks to be yet another Marvel triumph. Now, I have to admit something here. I was a little nervous about this particular review because I tend to really love these superhero movies for the most part, but consuming popular culture, especially stuff made to appeal to the broadest audience possible, as a person of color, means having to set my personal rage meter to a less sensitive setting. It just does. I mean, true talk, I not only have to code switch in my interactions with folks in daily life. For example, this relaxed, more personal version of me might be scary or jarring to some folks. But I do have to ignore a bunch of crap if I'm going to enjoy any pop culture stuff at all, really. For just the tiniest example, just remember, our main Iron Man and hero of the multiverse, RDJ himself, also thought this was A-OK.
Y'all might be in for a treat. You know, back before the war broke out, I was a saucier in San Antone. I bet I could call up some of them greens. Yeah, noodle some crawfish out the patio.
I know, all my white friends declare with some pretty annoyed indignation.
It's meta.
It's meta, fuck you.
It's a meta commentary, Alexis. Enjoy anything. RDG is above all your race stuff, Alexis.
Everything. Okay, sorry about that. Let's review us a Marvel trailer. Remember, for these POC repetition media reviews, we just look for 4 things.
Remember, these are all in proportion to the white folks.
Number 1, how many folks of color are there in this trailer altogether? Number 2, how many folks of color are there in this trailer who have speaking parts? Question 3, if a person of color has a speaking part, is that part being portrayed and represented as the usual hype/support for the main white characters? And then, number 4, we'll look for any specific stereotypes in there too. Okay, as usual, first we need us a baseline. So we have to begin by counting up all the nice white people. Pretty easy in this case. Going as frame for frame as possible, we counted around 43 white people in this particular trailer. Now, this is also a panicked, crowd-rich trailer with lots of people running around trying not to drown or get hit by debris or fire, so we erred on the side of generosity here. And if we couldn't quite tell, we just didn't count folks as white or as POC. Okay, turns out the total number of non-white/people of color in this trailer, counting possible repeats, hovers around 18. And it looks like we've got 4 white folks in this trailer with speaking roles. And unprecedentedly, there are a whopping 6 people of color in this trailer with speaking roles. Wow. Seriously, really? I'm kind of chuffed to say that the POC representation in this here trailer is actually quite pleasing to me. I gotta remind myself to also celebrate the good stuff while I grouse about the shitty stuff. Okay, so were any of these 6 people of color who had speaking roles in this trailer portrayed as cliches or as supporting hype stereotypes? And yes, Tom Holland and Jake Gyllenhaal are the white guys in charge of this trailer and the subsequent film, so we will subtract 10% from our total for that. Now to start, full disclosure, I did count Marissa Tomei as a person of color for this review. Y'all can debate that in the comments, but I'm still counting her. She's my Aunt May. And yes, she's a supporting character, but a classic supporting character who made her debut all the way back in 1962 in issue number 15 of Amazing Fantasy, so we're keeping her. But turns out, even if I didn't count her, there are still a ton of POC folks in this trailer with speaking parts. Next we have Hemki Madera, who plays Mr. Del Mar. Another supporting character, sure, but he also owns his own business in New York in the 21st century, so. Now, he does serve a pretty stock character purpose, but it isn't based on his Dominican heritage, so we're not taking away any percentage points for him. All that being said, we next find our own illustrious and talented Zendaya Coleman, portraying fan and Peter Parker favorite MJ, formerly Mary Jane Watson. She's another classic character whose full face first appeared in The Amazing Spider-Man number 43. She's a white redhead in the comics, and instead we get this young powerhouse of color. This is good stuff. Next, we see the man in the chair himself, Jacob Batalon, portraying Ned Leeds. In the comics, old Ned is a grown-up who bears zero resemblance to our MCU Ned, which I love. Supporting character? Sure, but I'm betting he's going to shine in this movie. I just don't want to see Ned become a villain, though, even if Jacob says he wants to see it. I just like his smile too much. Next to last, we have Anthony Revolori, who portrays the comic book formerly blonde-haired, blue-eyed bully, Flash Thompson. I like that he calls Peter a dickwad. It's a put-down that doesn't attack Peter's gender, but does use ejaculate as an insult, which some in comedy might say is hard to pull off. And finally, the man himself, Samuel L. Jackson, speaks as Nick Fury.
Put some clothes on. Let's go for a ride.
A well-established, also comic book formerly white character who is supporting, but is, in my opinion at least, supporting as in foundationally supporting. That is, like a concrete foundation supports a house. He's supportive of the entire MCU. This makes him an institution. So, adding up our scores of 41.9% for overall POC screen time and 150% speaking role representation, minus the 10% for no lead person of color, but adding 10% for every white comic book character who is cinematically replaced by a POC character, which totals a whopping 50%, our final POC equity and representation score for this trailer is 231.9%. Based on the Harvard grading scale, well, any scale really, it looks like the trailer for Spider-Man Far From Home gets a people of color representation and equity score of A+. Comment below if you'd want to see a follow-up discussion on the actual positionality and function of these folks in a later video. I have to admit it, it's refreshing to see some representation like this out there. Now, if Marvel could just throw together a wee college fund for young Busco's kids, we'd be all right. If you have an idea for a pop culture critique, or want to join us in this endeavor, we need the most many voices we can to show up and speak out. Serious. If you can get behind what we're trying to accomplish here, that is, truly looking at popular culture through a lens that focuses on representation, on critical cultural theory, on social justice and equity concepts, and on social psychology, then leave us a comment. Like this video, and subscribe to our channel. Help us spread the word. Look for us on all the regular social media places as new ones eat old ones, and so on and so on. Email us and let's collaborate. See you the next and every time pop culture is used as a weapon against us.